private credit picked up, but it's really like in the big picture is like credit is not a primary driver of this cycle expansion. And just now, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, basically not been the primary driver of the expansion. It's been income financed spending by households, as well as income financed CapEx and spending by businesses, right? Out of their free cash flow. That's basically what it's been. And so as those things adjust, that's what leads to adjustment in the overall growth rate. And I think the thing that you see recently is in a very gradual way, household incomes are cooling. And if you look at what's going on, if we basically say, the household math of this in terms of their spending power is there's zero job growth. Wages are growing at 3.5%, give or take, wage growth per worker. And prices are rising about 3%, which means that households have 0 to 1% real spending power growth. That's the reality. And, in any 1 month or quarter, they could spend a bit above that, which is what we saw over the summer. They could also spend below that, which is actually what we saw early in the year. But that is their spending, is something like a 0 to 1% real demand. And if that's the case, from a structural perspective, then basically something has to change in order to meet sort of expectations of 2 or 3%. In part, what closed that gap in expectations this year was the AI investment boom. But now, there's only so much that those hyperscalers, that spending represents like 1% of the economy. So it can influence GDP for a quarter or two, but it's not going to drive the whole economy over time because they're going to run out of cash to be able to do it. And you're already seeing that because they're starting to borrow. Or you've got to see something that indicates labor markets or wages picking up, and it's not there. There's no evidence that there's a meaningful rise in labor markets or wages. And if that's the case, we're kind of stuck in this late cycle economic malaise that, is kind of, what do you call it? It's a slow cession, right? It's not a recession. It's not a crisis. It's just a slow cession for now.